Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to your Trader Merlin Weekend Edition show. Should be a fun one today. Man, what a market. We have a lot to talk about from the macro picture to economic data to trades that were made. Just so much to discuss on today's program. So I have a nice little graphic over here to give us a little bit of a representation of what it was. It felt like for a while it was a dark week, like it wasn't going to be a good, exciting week. And all of a sudden, our Friday session had a very exciting session. Okay. So let's dive into what happened this week. I'm going to start with the big picture overall. Actually, I'll start with this month, what happened for the month, which was interesting. Then I'll dive into the economic data for today. Of course, everything revolved around that core PCE price index number, which this morning I was kind of all set and ready to go a specific way. I saw those numbers come out and I thought, man, we're going to rip from here. We're going to have a huge rally. And all of a sudden we broke the Globex lows. I'm like, okay, go short. So ended up shorting this, made a nice little profit on the downside. And then once I got stopped out on this thing, trailing stops, huge market rally, as I'm sure most of you saw. That was a real shocker about face, and I was no longer in the market as an active short-term trader at that point. So bummed I missed that nice bull market rally, but is what it is. So let me walk you through this month and see what happened for the month of May, because we are officially done. Well, I guess if you're with cryptos, you still have another few hours till it's officially done, but I'm going to call it done for the month. We'll start things off with your worst performer. And always it's fun if you guys like to play along. What do you think is the worst performing asset out of our top 8 for the month of May? Well, it might surprise you. The victor, or the loser in this case, is going to be crude oil. Now, this is obviously very good for the markets, which is interesting because we saw most of the market indexes move to the upside. Now, here is your crude oil chart. Today, finishing down 0.8%. It looked like it had this nice potential breakout going back up to a supply zone right around $81 and then just petered out. 3 days of nothing but selling on it. We're coming back down to the lows we haven't seen since March. Not looking good for crude oil at this moment in time, even though I do have this entrenched bullishness on it. I still have to go with what the trend's giving me right now, and it looks like in the shorter term, we need to be bearish on crude oil. I have no oil positions open right now, so I'm not too worried about that one. We'll let you know if I do decide to change my tone. So that was your worst performer, down 5.72% for the month of May. Very close to that. Of course, if the oil is down, you would imagine that commodities and interest rates might not be doing so well, or currencies and interest rates might not be doing so well. Here you have the 10-year, down 3.84% for the month. Here's your picture of that 10-year, which on the day was down just over 1%. It really tried to rally. The last 2 weeks have been a pretty good, strong move up for that 10-year. But over the last 2 days, we have seen this one drop a pretty good clip. Now, again, I have a long way to go until we settle this bet with Big Eb. Happy Friday, Big Eb, and happy Friday, everybody out there. One thing I did not do yet. I'm moving too fast. I've got so much in my head. I recorded from 11 p.m. till 5 a.m. this morning recording content for Trading Academy. So a little bit of a rough evening. But cheers, everybody. Happy Friday. I hope you have a nice frosty cold beverage and are ready to have a glorious weekend doing something fun and exciting. All right. So I was on the U.S. government bonds, that 10-year. And again, I have all the way till December to get this bet settled with Big Eb. He thinks it's going to be under 4%, which it very well could be, although I don't think it will. Again, thinking just gets you in trouble in trading. It'll just follow what those numbers are telling you to do. So that was your second to last performer. Your seventh place finisher was the 10-year, down 3.84% for the month of May. Moving up that list, the dollar index, down 1.59% for the month of May. And you can see here, really not looking good. You heard about my other projects yesterday? I got quite a bunch of projects going on. Always looking out to do different things, particularly with the education front. If anybody's got a connection on like a Fox or on Bloomberg, let me know. I have an idea for a financial show that I would love to pitch to a major network, but I have no ins. I got no connection. And I have a team of instructors I think I could bring on and make a fantastic trading show that's never been done before. Nothing of its kind has ever been on a financial news network like CNBC, Fox, Bloomberg, none of it. And I think it's about time we had a show like that. So anybody got any connections out there? Let me know. Let me set up an interview. I'll give you a pitch deck. Okay, so the dollar index, again, we've seen for the past 2 weeks, it has started to look stronger, but for the overall month of May, you were down 1.59%. I personally think that this level right here at 103.88 up to 104.25 or 104.10 is your demand zone. If that's broken, then we'll probably see this thing drop all the way down to about 102.75. So hope this one stays and holds, just for the sake of anybody who's bullish on the dollar. Again, being bullish on the dollar means you most likely believe the equity markets are going to slow down. Next on our list of top 8, we start to move to positive territory. I have gold on here at 1.99%, but personally, I just don't think that that's the story to talk about is gold. It's really about silver. For the month of May, gold was up 1.99% and silver was up 15%. Just incredible move up in silver. Anyway, since we always talk about gold, we'll stay there. Here is your gold chart. And you can see that for the last couple of weeks, had a really big sell-off and is slowly trying to claw it back. But let's be honest, for the month of April and May, it really hasn't gone anywhere with strong direction. Yes, we had this rally in the tail end of April into middle May, but other than that, it just feels like we're kind of traversing sideways here for gold. You know, granted, it is teetering at all-time highs, which is great, but not making new highs. We're just kind of sitting there in the middle of the range that we've established over the past couple months. So 1.99% gain for gold for the month of May. And now we start to move up into the better positives. S&P 500. Man, before I show this monthly chart, we got to talk about the move that happened today in the S&P. I'm digressing. I'm bouncing all over the place. It's probably because I'm just delirious from lack of sleep. But I'm sure most of you, I saw some of the comments earlier, witnessed this one today. Steve says, quite a turnaround in the equities. Yeah. Crazy turnaround. So let me just start there with the S&P, and we'll look at other markets as well. But I want to look at this one because it was just such an interesting day. So let's go to this point right here. This is when the core PCE price index number came out. And of course, you guys saw that number came out better than expected. They thought it would stay at 0.3%. We came out at 0.2. Just to show you that, I will bring that up here. And you notice that for the past 4 months, we have seen core PCE price index slowly tick down. And of course, this is what the Fed is using for its basis for rate increases or rate cuts, or even keeping it the same. Now, we do have a very interesting thing happening next week. We have 2 central banks from around the world. You have Canada reporting, I believe that's going to be on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, you have the ECB reporting their rate announcement. And drum roll, please, they are expecting there to be a 25 basis point cut for each of those countries. So I think Canada going from 5% to 4.75%, and I believe the euro going from 4.5% to 4.25%. We are not cutting here in the United States, and typically these foreign markets are following what the U.S. does. So now we're seeing some markets potentially cut their rates, yet we're holding, what's wrong? Why is the U.S. the laggard here and not the leader? So kind of interesting. Now, let's go and continue on with our economic data piece here. This obviously was bullish news for the market, right? If inflation's under control, then that gives the Fed kind of the green light to cut rates, make it a little bit more favorable for the economy to thrive and prosper. And we saw that initially, right? There was a knee-jerk reaction where the S&P shot up and all was good. Now, I did not touch it. I wasn't trading before the market bell opened. But right here, when the opening bell rang, we had a small little pop-up, and then it just pretty much fell apart. Now, I was using the Globex lows as my entry point, so I missed a lot of this initial sell-off, but caught a bulk of this move on the way down here as we broke the Globex lows. And, you bring us into 9 o'clock, 9:30 Pacific time here, it looked pretty ugly. It was an ugly day for the S&P and the NASDAQ. NASDAQ even had a bigger turnaround. And then, all of a sudden, it just screamed to the upside. I mean, it was just a fantastic end-of-day rally, which is what I was expecting it to do on the open. I was all ready to have a nice big move on the open once it broke the Globex highs there or the opening 15-minute range, and we just didn't get that. So it was a very interesting day. You typically don't see turnarounds that severe. The end-of-day candle, let's show you what the daily candle looks like. It's an extremely bullish one for the S&P. So there's the S&P. Here's your NASDAQ candle. I mean, this is a monumentally large hammer formation. It's at the end of a small 2-day downtrend, extremely long bottoming tail, and then the momentum surged all the way up. Now, just to put it into perspective, at one point the NASDAQ was down almost 2% today. At the end of the day, down 0.08, so barely unchanged. So that's a pretty significant rally up in there, and the intraday on the NASDAQ looks just as attractive here. Just turned around and did not stop. Yep. Yeah, that's the funny part about this, Big Ev, and everybody here. You can go in with a mindset of this is what's going to happen today. I am sure of it. And the market just like, really? Hold my beer. Let me do something completely out of the normal and have everybody scratching their heads. I remember this morning, I was laughing to myself because I had some, I was trading the futures markets and I had some short trades on. I was betting the market's going to go down. I'm going, why am I betting these markets are going to go down? This should be bullish for the market, but who am I to make an opinion about it? Just do what the market is giving you at the time. And this, for me, fortunately today, turned out to be a pretty darn good day. So cheers to that. Cheers to a good Friday. It happens to be more than I would want to admit. Well, admit it. I think that's what makes us better traders, because it humbles us to know that we don't know everything. And quite often, I think you guys probably take as a takeaway from the show is I actually like to admit that I'm wrong. I embrace the fact to admit that I'm wrong. I think it keeps you grounded. It doesn't make you cocky. Markets are going to test you every single day. I think markets test you more than people in politics and relationships. I mean, markets are just always guessing what is going to happen next. And as long as I put rules around my trades, I don't let it get to me. Today, like I said, was just such an eye-opener for the opening half of the day. I was like, how is this tanking like this when you have our core PCE price index much lower than expected, which gives the Fed the green light to lower rates? Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, what do we get? Market did what I thought it was going to do, of course, as I was already out of my short positions, which is great, and just kept on rallying to the upside. Buy the dip says, I was humbled today. Good. I'm glad you guys are answering that way. It's not to imply that anybody here is stupid. It's just you have to put that ego aside and say, whatever this market is going to give me is what I have to do. All right, Tom says, it's not very smart to have CPI as one significant digit. 0.2 could be 0.24 rounded down. That's true. That's very true, right? It could have been 0.29 and they're saying, well, we'll just round it down to 0.2 to make it look better. What's that window dressing look like? Yeah. To be honest, I believe that the vast majority of this is manipulated data anyway. I think that we're going to start to see better inflation numbers specifically for the election. And again, we won't make this a political show, but I definitely believe that politics not only seeps into the market, but I believe dictates what the Fed is going to do, Treasury Department is going to do, and we'll start to see things shifted with more rosy data going into the election time. So as we get on the campaign trail, the current administration can wave the flag and say, see, look what we've done. We brought inflation down, and it happened conveniently right as we get to that election moment. But stranger things have happened. Who cares, in my perspective, from the politics perspective? Your thoughts on the Trump verdict yesterday, whether it was good or bad, doesn't matter to me at all. All I know is it creates waves in the markets, and that equals opportunity for me. Not worth ruining friendships over by stating your political views anyway. So let's continue on. Blue Diesel says, I smell manipulation. Yeah, here's the thing. There's an old joke that says, from California, how do you find Texas? Now, I apologize. I'm going to offend all my Texas friends here, but from California, how do you get to Texas? Well, you go east till you smell it, and you go south till you step in it. And that's kind of what the markets were like today. It's just like manipulation abound with the way that these markets moved. And it just shrug your shoulders, laugh, and say, it is what it is. All right. Big head politics. I feel like, what was that guy saying, the coach of the Indianapolis Colts? Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. Yeah, there's always politics somewhere. Okay, let me continue on up this list. We'll get to the top, and I've got two questions that came in I want to get to. That was your S&P, which is just fantastic. It may not seem like much when you look at it. It was up 0.81%, but it was down over 1% today. That was a gigantic rally, even though at the end of the day it doesn't seem like much. So 4.59% move up for the S&P for the month of May, but it gets even better from there. Right in front of that one, you have the Russell 2000, which was 4.74%. Let's take a peek at what that Russell did. Now, the Russell has been a bit of an outlier. It's been the stronger of these indexes over the past couple days. Here is your daily of it. Now, it's not at all-time highs. Certainly have a ways to go till we get to all-time highs. However, it was a nice bullish day, as these other indexes were as well. It didn't have the about face as extreme as the NASDAQ, for example. But all in all, a 0.72% gain for the day for the Russell. As I look at this, I don't feel very strongly about it. I think it's just slowly trekking itself up, but I don't feel like this is an extremely strong index to be jumping into right now. It's kind of in the middle of no man's land with regards to range. And that, I believe, was our bronze metal. That brings us to the silver medal for the day, which is going to go to the NASDAQ 100. 5.74% gain for the month of May. Again, these are pretty darn good monthly numbers to be locking in, especially given what happened today. So we were higher than that for the month for the NASDAQ 100, but the reversal today really did save some of those gains for the NASDAQ. It does scream of market rally next week. Just the way this momentum surge changed. You know, if you went into the weekend long, I certainly would feel much more comfortable having long positions going into the weekend, as I do, than I would wanting to have short positions going into the weekend, because it just feels like that momentum surge and swing was certainly to the upside. Almost like a slingshot type of action. So 5.74 for the month of May for the NASDAQ, but that is nowhere near the victor. Of course, the victor for the month, Bitcoin, 14.68% gain. Even though it's been struggling over the past couple weeks, Bitcoin has been doing pretty darn well, and most of those gains coming right here, right on the the low point we saw back here on May 1st was pretty much the low for the month, and we've been slowly moving our way up. Granted, the last week and a half has been a bit weak. We are seeing a little bit of a pullback, or at least hesitation, for Bitcoin. Yeah, Margaret says, forget about sell in May and go away. And how many times have you heard me say that, Margaret, that these market mantras exist for a reason, and everything works until when? Until it doesn't. So you want to, that sell in May and go away mantra, I've mentioned many times, it doesn't mean the markets are going to crash. It just means historically it has lackluster performance. It doesn't have 2, 3, 4, 5% gains. Well, sell in May, You've been crying yourself to sleep over this one, that you missed this market rally if you sidestep this. So been a pretty darn good month. You look at that. There are some factors here that when we look at the macroeconomic picture may not be that great for the market. You have the dollar index getting weaker, which is a positive sign for the market. You have yields dropping, which is a positive sign for the market. And you have commodities like oil dropping, which is a great sign from an inflation perspective. So the bottom three components that you see here, to me, are the leading pieces. They're the parts that actually caused that big move up in the overall markets. Hey, Chris, good to see you. Yep, those mantras are not absolute, and I always recite them for a reason. The Santa Claus rally, sell in May and go away. As goes January, so goes the rest of the year. They're built for a reason. There's statistics behind them, but they don't always work. They definitely have their moments of failure. So that's your big news for today. For me, really, it boils down to this number here. I'm very curious to see what happens over the next week with regards to rates in the United States. Of course, we have another 2 weeks before we get our rate announcement. Now, the rate announcement numbers for the CME Fed Funds Futures hasn't changed yet. So I can bring it up here, but we won't see that change until Monday to reflect the current PCE Core Price Index. I'm also curious to see what central bankers say about this. Now, didn't see anything on the calendar about a Jerome Powell presentation, but if he does come out and speak about that PCE number, that's probably going to juice the market. So I'm going into, even though we haven't even gone through the weekend, I'm going into next week already with a bullish bias on the equity markets simply because of today's data. So, next week, again, we do have two other central banks, as I mentioned. You have Canada, you have the ECB. You also have the unemployment rate coming out next Friday, which will be an important one. One thing that I forgot to mention, or maybe I did mention it a while back, but I want to reinforce this. I will not be doing a show next week. I am going to be on a cruise ship in Alaska. So, for those of you who want to try to find my home and break in and steal things, don't worry. I have people living here, so don't worry about that. But I will be on a cruise ship up in Alaska with my brother and my dad, and hopefully having a great time in Alaska, state I've never been to. But there will be no shows next week. I highly doubt that I will log in and broadcast live from the deck of a cruise ship. But you never know. Stranger things have happened. So just throwing it out there. No show for next week. I'm actually back on Tuesday morning, so I'll probably do a show Tuesday as soon as I get back. I know. Whoa. I had an alert set, Margaret, for the moment we broke that Globex low. So if you go back here, where's that S&P short? So if we go to our 5-minute time frame, which is the time frame I use for the short-term stuff, I don't use anything smaller than that. I had an alert set on this when we broke these lows here. All right. So I ended up going to bed around 5 a.m. because I was recording. So as I saw this thing rally up a little bit here, I said, all right, we'll when I went to sleep, I put a alert below those lows, and then you can see on the open we were well above that, and then all of a sudden we cratered down below it about an hour into the trading session, and that's where my short began. So even just capturing a small piece of this lower part of the move, everything below this red line was not everything, but a majority of this was in that move for me. Ends up being a pretty nice day. You don't need a monster move. Now, I was stopped out on this nice rally back up here, which is fine with me. I set some trail stops on it, and we were done. So there you go. Starting out in Seattle, you are correct. I will be going to Seattle. I fly to SeaTac on Monday morning. I get there at like 10 a.m., and then I will get over to the port, jump on the boat, and I think I leave at 4 o'clock, so it should be a nice time. Again, I wish I had more time to stay in Seattle. I'd come by and see you, John. I actually do. I love Seattle. Fun place. But yeah, looking forward to getting up into Alaska. I'm sure some of you have been on Alaska cruises. If you have time, email me, and if you've been on an Alaska cruise and you're like, man, you have to do this, email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com and let me know what it is. I'm going up to, now we've completely changed the trajectory of this class. One second. Skagway, I think, is where I'm headed. I'm headed up to a couple different spots, but I'll show you just so you know. If anybody has been there, you can tell me the highlights of it. So I will be going from Seattle right here. Let me move that over, and taking the boat up into Genoa and Skagway. And there's another little Sitka. So I'm doing Sitka, Genoa, and Skagway will be the three main ports. There's a couple other small stops, but that will be it. The USS Minnow? Hopefully not, Steve. I'm on a boat that is far bigger than the SS Minnow. I'm on the Royal Caribbean, I think, something of the seas. It's a monster ship. It's kind of funny. So this cruise ship is obviously an all-inclusive cruise ship, and it has 9 restaurants. 9 restaurants, right? And I'll be on there for 7 days, so 9 restaurants is going to be fine. Type in a chat how many bars you think this boat has. It has 9 restaurants. How many bars does it have? A location where I can go sit down and buy alcohol or get alcohol. This one cracked me up when I was looking over the boat to see what some of the amenities were. But yeah, I've got 9 restaurants. Some are all you can eat. Some are high end. It has 28 bars on this boat. You know your clientele, right? Know your clients. Sitka is beautiful. The Raptor Center in Sitka is really cool. Okay, cool. Go for the sled dog excursion. Someone told me about that, but it's so expensive. I'm going to be with 4 people, and it's like $700 per person. It's like, I'm not going to spend $1,000 to go ride a sled dog. I got a German Shepherd that'll drag me around. Oh, you guys did pretty good. Ricardo was optimistic. He said 50 bars. No, that would be that's the single booze cruise. But a lot of you guys did really well. 30 bars, 25. Yeah, I would have thought maybe 10 or 15, but 28 bars is a lot. Just significant amount. Hey, Pepe, you're in the Bahamas today? Cruising from Galveston to the Bahamas. Very nice. Yours is going to be a much prettier, warmer cruise, right? Your deck party is going to be a lot more fun than mine. Apparently, it's going to be 38-degree air temperature out there. It's going to be cold. The pool will not be as popping as it will be for Pepe's cruise, so have a great cruise out there. Which company or brand will it take it too far with the Pride Month and have their stock tank? Who knows? I didn't even think about that stuff, Blue Diesel, until it happens. It's funny how, remember, we talked about this extensively, and we got a lot of different viewpoints here. And again, no one's viewpoint is necessarily correct or incorrect. It's all opinions. We look at the actions of 2 companies that got beat up significantly for in my opinion, kind of edgy, maybe bad ad campaigns. Look at Budweiser. Look what happened to Budweiser since that colossal mistake I don't know if it was necessarily a mistake, but the issue they had, and I think that was back in here as they fell, they're already significantly higher. They bottomed out at around $52, and now you're trading at 63. The other one was TGT, right? Target. This is that big slide when they had all that controversy. They went down as low as $104, and here we are now at 156. It actually peaked out about 180 and change. So, yeah, I think there's opportunity in these types of missteps that companies make. Whether it offends one side or the other, it doesn't really matter. It's just an opportunity to buy a solid company. Now, let's talk about that a little bit more. We're talking about some trades that were made yesterday, and I know some of you took that Salesforce. I saw Big Eb comment in there on that Salesforce. Let me go real quick and see what your Salesforce comment was, Big Eb. You had sold some puts. I wanted to say it was the 210s. Where is it? There you go. He's liking the CRM 210 June 28th puts. I'm surprised he went the 28th, not the 20th or the 21st. But let's look at CRM. So you went on the weeklies, not the monthly. So here's the Salesforce we talked about yesterday. Actually, we talked about it a couple days ago on that earnings announcement. I did sell the 200 puts on this one, so I'm okay buying at 200, and I collected $2.20 worth of premium. I know that others of you actually sold at the money puts and collected a lot more premium than I did, which, hey, that's great. I just wasn't convinced that Salesforce has turned the corner here. Now, today they were up 7.52%. So for anybody here who sold puts, whether you sold the 220s, the 210s, the 200s, you're off to a pretty good start here. You know, I was looking at the numbers yesterday, and I was telling you that Salesforce would have to drop, 7%, almost 8% to get to the point that I would be put those shares. Well, now it's back up to a 14% slide over the next 3 weeks. So already feeling pretty comfortable with that one. And again, I did Kohl's as well. Typically with these companies, you get these big knee-jerk reactions, these panic moments where something tanks and then has a nice little rally up, which has been great. That's fantastic. Now, one other that we talked about on yesterday's show was UiPath, right? Talked about this one because apparently there was an issue with their CEO. Their CEO stepped down. I like the idea of AI. They're actually implementing it into software and selling that software to businesses. And I was like, well, I don't know, guys. I'll let you know tomorrow if I decide to take a stab at it. I did take a stab at this today. I put an order in to sell a bunch of puts on PATH as the ticker symbol, and I chose the $11 strike. Now, I had 15 cents. So it's not a lot of premium, but I had 15 cents in there as the premium for it, and it was a limit order. I did not get filled. So while I did want it, I was being stingy. I could have gotten in for the 13 cents, but I'm like, nope. I'm gonna try to get the 15 cents. Did not get exercised, so we'll see what happens next week. If UiPath continues to drop, I may reevaluate this and look at potentially buying some of it, or at least selling some puts on it, collecting that premium, and maybe owning it down the road. But that's the gist of that one. I just wanted to bring it up because I know we talked about that, and there was a question from John about it. So, John, there's your answer. Did you buy UiPath today? I did not buy UiPath. I put orders out to sell some puts on it. I actually had a pretty big order to sell some puts on it because, at a price like $11, I'm fine owning 5,000 shares of it. It'd be no problem. So, unfortunately, didn't get it. It's okay. Move on. We'll find some other good premium. Let's see. Tom says Target is off from the high of 268. They were 222 before their big push woke, and now 156. Sales are still way off. Yeah, they are. But buying at that shock panic moment was my argument. I'm not saying that it didn't impact their business. I think we all agree it's going to impact their business. But over time, people forget about this stuff. And there are some people, I have a good friend who, I've never been to this friend's house, but I feel like he's the type of person that on the back of his door at his house on the way out, he'd have a Target logo with a line through it. He'd have an Anheuser-Busch logo with a circle and a line through it and saying, I'll never buy from these or never touch them again. I think he's the extreme. I think the average person might be upset and frustrated by the decisions if it offended you. And over time, you're going to go, man, I got to go to Target to buy something. And you'll just kind of let it fizzle away and forget about it. But there you go. I was on Ovation in the C last year. Make sure you see Darla, the singer. Okay. Darla. I'll remember that one. Thank you. You get your phone number on there? 286-3023. Let's see. What else did I see here? Mr. David, nice RSI divergence. Then it ripped. Oh, we're talking about CVS. All right. Let's go to that one. Why not? So CVS is another one of those that's been under pressure for quite some time. It's not just like one earnings announcement. It was already in pain long before the earnings announcement. Now, I'll be honest, I personally like buying things like this that have already had weakness going into a bad earnings announcement. You see their gap down on earnings. Let me just do some numbers crunching for you here. Their gap down on that earnings play was roughly, call it 17%. Well, going into that earnings announcement, it was already down 16%. So I think a lot of it, this gets, buy the rumor, sell the news, so to speak. In this case, buy the news, sell the rumor, buy the news on a bad earnings announcement. Is CVS going to go out of business? They might. I know there was talk about it. I know there's talk about Rite Aid going out of business, etc. They're not all going to disappear. I think there's definitely going to be a need for these types of stores run. I use CVS quite regularly to pick up prescriptions or last minute cold remedies, whatever I may need. I don't think that they're going to fizzle and go away. They might evolve and change a little bit. So when you have something like this, a big stable company that's a household name, I'm usually comfortable buying at a very depleted price. And again, the numbers have to make sense for me. You look at the longer term picture here. Clearly, there's a bigger issue with CVS. You are back down to the pre-COVID lows, which is it all-time lows? Let me just, can't be all-time lows, but how long has it been since we were lower than where we're at? It really hasn't been lower than $51.93 since 2013. So you're talking 11 years. Would that be a good logical point to buy into this one? Sure. And if you look at what happened on today, this week, our low price on that was $52.77. So you're getting right down into those significant lows. Great buy point. So those of you who bought into that one, awesome. Walgreens Boots Alliance is doing worse. WBA, yeah. This just looks like a bug in search of a windshield. It just keeps dropping and dropping and dropping. Now, I don't know, where's Michael? Michael usually doesn't jump into the last 10 minutes of the show or something. Michael, I know this is a stock that you're looking at because it's going nowhere but down. And when you look at Rite Aid or Walgreens Boots Alliance or CVS, which are all very similar types of stores, yeah, clearly there's something going on with Walgreens. Clearly. Does this mean to buy it because it's so undervalued and has this, it's going to bottom out to attitude? No. You guys know what my rules are. I wouldn't have a problem buying Walgreens Boots Alliance. I'm just not going to buy it now. For me to get even remotely interested in this stock, it would have to start making some new highs. That's the minimum requirement for me, which means it's pretty much got to get above $19. And I just don't see that happening right now. Steve Wolf says WBA is a dumpster fire. Yeah. This is one of those account killers because you buy it and it just keeps on dropping and dropping and dropping. And you think you're going to get a great deal, right? You might be thinking that this isn't going to turn around. It can't go any lower. They'll just split it. They'll just split this stock and it'll just keep on going lower. So you remember my favorite mantra. I told you if I ever got a tattoo, it would say, the trend is your friend until the bend at the end. I got to be careful where I put that too, let's be honest. The trend is your friend until the bend at the end. In this case, there's no bend here. There was one back here. I'll be honest, if this was a situation right here and I was watching this, I probably would have jumped on the Walgreens Boots Alliance. Why? Because it started to make a new high and gave a little bit of confidence in me that it might have been reversing that trend, and then it just gave it all back up. So they don't always work when it makes a new pivot or swing high, but that's a criteria for me that I kind of ingrained in my trading rules. So Walgreens Boots Alliance, no way. What about Rite Aid? So we are already in bankruptcy on Rite Aid. You talk about a dumpster fire. This is just a smoldering coal at this moment in time. It is just not looking good at all. So Rite Aid, I'd leave it alone because it's in bankruptcy. And then again, you have CVS. So CVS looks horrible because of that massive gap down, but is it going to be one of the last three standing? Right? You've got Walgreens, Rite Aid, and CVS. Those are the three main competitors in that space. Granted, you could say Walmart and Target may take some of that market share as well and probably is taking a growing piece of that pie. Put it on your elbow. I like that. That's a safer way to say it, Blue Diesel. Unfortunately, I am really not I'm not a tattoo person. My attitude is, why would I put a bumper sticker on a Bentley? Let's see. Oliver says, if Walgreens Boots Alliance sells Ozempic at their stores, the stock may go up. You mean if they sell Viagra at their stores, sales will go up? But thanks, folks. I'm a comedian here all day and all night. Oh, man. All right. So, Best Buy. I'm going to read this one from David. I'm going to tell you why this is a pain for me. Nothing meaning against David, but just how Bed Bath & Beyond, BBY is one that I just cannot stand. It is one of the single biggest losing trades I've ever taken in my life. So, Mr. David says, BBY, strong gap up after earnings, thought it would reject at resistance, but pushed higher. I haven't done it yet, but Best Buy will probably make it onto my list of being a stock I cannot trade. Now, I've told this story before. It goes all the way back to 2013. Let me show you this here. I'm a firm believer that this company is garbage. I think that everything that you can buy at Best Buy, I can order on Amazon and have it delivered to my house without needing to go to Best Buy, which is a parking nightmare over by my house, and I can get it cheaper on Amazon. So if I'm looking for electronic gadgets or new headphones or maybe even appliances or something, I'm going to go to Best Buy, touch them, feel them, move them around, see which one I really want. I'll actually sit there in the store with the app for Amazon in my hand or do a search on the QR code. And I have different applications on my phone which will show me the cheapest price for that item, and I'll order it from that other place. And you're thinking, well, Merlin, Best Buy has price match guarantee. I've tried that before. They go, no, we don't know what that site is. We're not going to honor it. So forget it. I'm just going to order online. So for me, that model is kind of done. It's like the retail arm for Amazon. So I've been of the opinion that they're going to go under for a long time. Now, have I been right? No, I've been wrong that whole time. That said, I ended up with a $100,000 position of puts on Best Buy, and I made a mistake, and I'm going to share a mistake with you that I hope that you guys all remember, and you'll never make this same mistake. This could be very costly for you. I ended up buying the third week of December 2013 puts, and it was on the way up here. So as it was rallying up, I'm like, this thing's going to tank. It's garbage. There's no way. It was the best performing stock in the market It was one of the best performing stocks in the market in 2013. So let me just draw a line here to show you the percentage gain for Best Buy in 2013, right? Now, before I show you that number, just off the top here, what would you think would be a great year for Best Buy? Is it 10% gains, 20% gains, 30% gains? Do you think it would have a monumental rally, like an NVIDIA type rally? If it did, you should be scratching your head going, why? They've got so much competition. The margins on electronics are plummeting. They're going out of business. There's no way this is going to last. I feel the same about Best Buy, almost the same as I do about GameStop, right? Now, GameStop, I bet anything they're going to go out of business here in the near future. Best Buy might linger around a little bit longer because some people like to go and jump in those stores. So check this out. It had, from January of 2013 till November, Best Buy rallied 296%. This is Best Buy. This is not a technology firm or some amazing innovation. So I had these puts on it. And again, my puts just expired the third week of December, which I will put right here. Let's see. December, there's 1 Friday, 2 Fridays, 3 Fridays. So it's Friday, December 20th. And unfortunately, by the time it got there, the valuation had already diminished. I let them expire worthless. Look what happened. If I had just had the January puts on those, I would have had a hefty six-figure return. It dropped over 50% on a gap down and continued to sell off. So the moral of the story is, do not, under any circumstances, short a company going into the holiday season, especially a retailer like Best Buy, Walmart. Don't short any company going into Christmas, period. I know you probably all know that, but I just figured I would revel in my pain a little bit and share that with you because that was a very expensive lesson. I wanted the seven-figure trade, right? To this date, I still have not had one trade that netted me seven figures. It's been that white elephant I'm hoping to get some point in my trading career. In order to get a trade that big, you have to really put your neck out there and take some big chances. And I did on this one, and unfortunately, that cost me quite a bit of money, unfortunately. Let's see. Best Buy used to be known as the showroom for Amazon. Yeah. Is it still not that less? I think it is. Let's see. Tom says Ozempic has a new competitor called... Oh, man, that was funny. I watched a video of Lizzo watching the South Park episode where they're mocking her. That's pretty good. Martin Luther King Jr. Glad to have you back. I think you've been gone a while. Amazon has a counterfeit problem. Even if you buy from Amazon directly, not third party, you can still get counterfeit products due to commingling. Yes. So when I used to wear my dress shirts for work, I had custom tailored stuff that I'd get in Thailand and in Vietnam, get custom tailored clothes. And I love wearing nice clothes like that. And I'd rather wear an undershirt. I like to wear an undershirt. So the best undershirts are Calvin Klein, without question. They're just so comfortable. The materials they use are fantastic. So I bought multiple packs of Calvin Klein undershirts from Amazon, and I got them. There's no way that these are authentic Calvin Klein. So yes, counterfeits are abound, and hopefully they will do something to fix that in the near future. All right. We are off on so many different tangents today. How much time do I go? Oh, I'm going to have to wrap this show up because I have to record a couple things here before I finish my day. Let me go to the last question that came through here, and it was this. I'm new to crypto and bought my first Bitcoin yesterday on Coinbase. What do you recommend I do with it now? What else should I buy? Look, Tyler, I am not a financial advisor. You bought Bitcoin for whatever reasons you thought were meaningful and purposeful to you. So what do you want to do now with it? How am I supposed to answer that, my friend? What I would write, it depends on how much you bought as well. And if you bought a lot, then you might want to move it onto cold storage, something like a nano ledger, like, excuse me, like this guy right here. If you have a little nano ledger, you could move it onto that type of device. Therefore, you have ownership of it. If it's a small amount, you could just keep it on those respective exchanges. Probably not going to hurt you much. As far as what else you should buy, that's really on you. You know, there's over 2.6 million different projects in the crypto space right now. I personally believe that 99% plus of them are garbage, that they're scams. So you really need to, do your research, look at the different things available to you, different projects, what are you interested in? And I would say just study the landscape of cryptocurrency and digital assets. That's a lot of what I've been building lately, has been expanding the content regarding cryptocurrency and digital assets for Trading Academy and other partners. So for me, I can't say you should buy X, Y, or Z. There are so many different projects out there that have valid marketing plans and growth plans for the future to go after a specific segment. There's some that I like. I really like companies like Render. I like Chainlink. I think you should have layer 1 blockchains in your portfolio besides Ethereum. Maybe you have some Cardano or Algorand or Avalanche. There's a whole bunch of different things to have in there. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, the focus class at Trading Academy will certainly help you make better, more informed decisions about cryptocurrency and digital assets. And Thomasina, I think you had asked about the free 6 videos that Trading Academy offers. I believe there's a link down in the description to every show where I have that link in place. So should someone want to take those 6 free intro classes, again, they're extremely basic just to kind of set the stage for what crypto is about, why it's important. You can watch those 6 videos for free in the link in the description. Big Eb says, get Sol, S-O-L. That's another one that I'm getting more and more bullish on. It seems like every couple of weeks they just do some new thing, which makes it a better platform. So yeah, that's another great layer 1 project that might find its place in your portfolio. I think the key, Tyler, that I would say is don't latch onto one. If you do latch onto one, I would say just be fine with your Bitcoin, hodl. Keep that one, and I would stick with it for a while. It's a numbers game. It's simple math. If you look at the math behind it, that's why I love it. There's no mystery. It's just straight math equation. And now when we take in our knowledge of supply and demand and adoption of cryptocurrency and digital assets, I think Bitcoin's a slam dunk to grow over time. It's going to have wild fluctuations, so be ready for that. But you'll also benefit from adoption. It looks like we're going to get more adoption. I saw a comment in here just a minute ago from Andres who says, IBIT became the biggest Bitcoin ETF. Yeah, by a large margin. To this date, it's the most successful ETF ever made. And you're going, wait a minute, hold on a second. It's more successful than the SPY? Well, the SPY has been around a very long time. If you look at net inflows, the amount of money that has flowed into IBIT, it's faster than any ETF that's ever been created. That's a pretty monumental task to accomplish, especially for such a taboo asset as cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. Ooh, stay away. There you go. CNBC quotes Sol. Nice. Good. Keep talking about it, right? Get Sol on TV. It's my 3rd largest position. So I think it's my 3rd largest position. So why not? I'm happy with that one. And hopefully we'll continue to grow going forward. So there you go, Tyler. My recommendation, hold on, right? There you go. Just relax. You've got your Bitcoin. I would say learn. Start to study. Look at what the ecosystem looks like. Look for different projects. To me, the more I look into cryptocurrency and digital assets as an industry, as a subset of our economy, I'm super excited. I think that there's so many businesses. I could look across the spectrum and I could name any business sector. And I could give you examples of how blockchain technology could impact for the better that business. And if I like that segment, like real estate, for example, then I may look at different protocols that are trying to do something in real estate. And there's a few different companies trying to put real estate on the blockchain and make it more electronic and more transparent. And I think that that's just the wave of the future for every market segment. Again, anything that has digital or money involved with it, I believe can be improved by using blockchain technology and cryptographic functions. So it's pretty exciting. What can you buy IBIT on TradeStation? Yeah, you can buy it anywhere. So if you go IBIT, IBIT, just type it in. This is the iShares Bitcoin ETF Trust. So this is a readily traded security on pretty much any exchange. I think there was talk about certain brokerage firms not allowing their customers to buy Bitcoin ETFs, but I think that may have fizzled away. I think they got smoked from the people on social media about that one, how stupid that was, and people were leaving. Mark says, get the hell of a lot on iBet. Oh, got a hell of a lot on iBet. Nice. So they can buy iBet on TradeStation. Yes, you can. What's a good crypto book to study with? I believe his name is Safdin Ammous, I believe, and it's called the Bitcoin Standard. That's a good book. What I was thinking is, I should have done it a while back, because what really got me enamored with crypto is I went to Thailand was it Thailand? Yeah. I went to Thailand in 2017, and I brought my iPad with me, and I just typed in bitcoin.pdf, and I tried to find as many different articles, whether it was the IMF or different universities or you name it. I wanted all the documentation I could find on Bitcoin. And I sat by the pool and I was just reading through all this geek speak. I felt kind of silly because, people over there watching romance novels, and here I am reading tech specs for a decentralized cryptocurrency. Who's the nerd now? Well, that's me. But the more I dove into it, the more I went, wow, this is the future of money. Whether it's Bitcoin or something else, it will replace fiat at some point. And whether that's a government-controlled currency, I don't know. Most likely it will be, but it will be digital. It's just an inevitability for the monetary system to evolve that way. So I would read Safdin Ammous' The Bitcoin Standard. Let me real quickly look. There's another guy. His name is Andreas Antonopoulos. Let's see, Andreas Andreas Antonopoulos. He is a Greek entrepreneur that's got a whole bunch of free books. So let me see if I can find out here real quick. Yeah, he does. He's got a bunch of them. You can see here, he's got Mastering Bitcoin, Mastering Ethereum. I would probably go with Safdin's. I think it's going to be a little less technical. But if you are interested in Bitcoin, you can look at Mastering Bitcoin. And look, if you really want, just type in Mastering Bitcoin .pdf. You can download a lot of times these books directly from the internet. A lot of people like Andreas will put the old version online for free, so you can just download that right here. So again, be careful. Use a spam filter or a virus scan, just so you don't download some book that someone's going to plant a virus on your computer. But that's where I would start. Are you allowed to write a crypto book, or is that in conflict of interest with Bitcoin with OTA? I'm definitely allowed to write any book that I want. I'll tell you, Margaret, the struggle for me is I feel like I could be diagnosed with ADD because I have so many little things that I'm doing that I can't focus on one specific task. So I've been writing 3 books, and I've been writing them for years, and I just get so frustrated and bored with them, I just stop. And I know Pepe's on his cruise right now, and he's been a great proponent. He's been pushing me like, finish your damn book. And he's right. I need to finish one, but I get writer's block. So, I'll have 150 pages written, and then I take a break for 2 or 3 months because I get frustrated. And then I go back, and I have to go, wait a minute, where was I? So I read through everything. And as I'm reading through it, I go, I'm going to change this and change this and change this and change this. And it's just a never-ending process for me. It just never gets to the finish line with these books. I certainly think I could write a book. I think it would be fun, although there's hundreds of books out now on cryptocurrency and digital assets. I'll be honest, I don't read them. I'm really not a voracious reader. I don't like to go out there and read a lot of books. I'm a first-hand, hands-on type of person. If you look at where my knowledge really came from, it was, for crypto in any way, it was, yes, I read some articles, I read some academic papers, I followed a couple people on social media that I thought were good, and then I just really got my hands dirty and just dug into it myself. I went through all the different exchanges. I was looking at the blockchains for each of the different cryptocurrencies to find out how they function, the strengths, the weaknesses, the vulnerabilities. And yeah, it just kind of became a passion of mine. And that's the same thing I did with trading. When I got started back in the late 90s, it was a similar thing. I went all in, and I really immersed myself and tried to become the best that I could be. And even with that attempt early on as a trader, I got my butt handed to me. My arrogance, my cockiness definitely ruined me early on in my trading, which is why I try to convey that idea of don't be cocky, just do what the market tells you. Thomasina, send it to me. I'd love it. That'd be great. That's what I was wondering. ETF R0 and 0 close to 0. Okay. Probably best to look at the lowest expense ratio to own. Yeah, you know, if you look at them, I actually had a list. I don't have it right now, but I actually made a list of all the different fees for crypto, for the crypto ETFs. And there were some down, I think 0.19 was the lowest management fee. You could go with Grayscale and pay 1.5%. Why would you do that? Get out of Grayscale and go into something else. Can a blockchain be hacked? Certainly it can. There is the potential. And when you look at a blockchain, you have to understand how it's secured, right? What is protecting that blockchain? So it's something like Bitcoin, you have the proof of work network, and that's the consensus algorithm uses proof of work. And they have encryption protocols that help that prevent it from being hacked. So to date, Bitcoin has never been hacked. It's probably the safest network out there. When you look at something like Ripple, for example, Ripple is a rather centralized blockchain. There is no reward for anybody to be a validator on Ripple. So there's not a lot of people doing it because there's no monetary reward for it. What you have is a group of, I think it's 8 or 10 entities control Ripple. So now the potential to hack and to get into that database is much easier because you have fewer points to control. When you look at different projects like Solana used to be very centralized. My biggest argument against Solana was it's like one server. And that was their test environment. And they got better at it. And they said, okay, we've got it stable. We have it where we want. Now we're going to start to make it decentralized. So now the more decentralized a project becomes, typically the safer it's going to be from hacking, manipulation. The real threat for any blockchain is what's called a 51% attack. And that's where somebody controls more than half of the computational power of the blockchain. So if you have more than 50% of the hashing power for Bitcoin, you could now manipulate transactions, prevent transactions, you could reap havoc on the entire thing. But why? It would cost you tens of millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, to get that kind of control. And even if you did, you can't make new Bitcoin. You can just block people and prevent them, and that's pretty much all you could. You might be able to double spend by creating forks of that blockchain, but it's not going to happen with something that's very, very diversified. So there you go. Okay, let me real quickly wrap up here because I don't want to do an hour show. I got things I got to take care of before I finish my day. For next week, again, I will not be here. I will not be doing a show, so I apologize for that one, but it is what it is. I got to go enjoy some new experiences, which I'm excited to do that with my dad and my brother. So next week, you have a lot of economic data with regards to employment. You've got the JOLTS job openings, you've got the ADP non-farm employment change, you have initial claims, and then you also have the unemployment rate on Friday. Those are the biggies. Wednesday and Thursday, you also have central bank announcements for Canada and for the euro, so be careful for those. Other than that, not a lot of big earning names reporting next week, so it shouldn't be that exciting. It feels weird to wrap up here on a Friday knowing I'm not going to see you for over 1 week. So, yeah, that's going to do it for me. I hope you enjoyed. Again, Tomasina, I love that little outline. Maybe I can use it to motivate me on my cruise. But yeah, email me that. You have the email address. For anybody else, if there's things you want to discuss, you can put them down below any of the YouTube videos. Again, those that do, thank you very much. I appreciate the comments on YouTube. And you can also email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com to get any questions sent to me. And you know, most of the time I don't answer directly on my email because I do get a lot of them. I typically try to get the questions answered in a format like this, where I bring it into our PowerPoint slides, and I will answer those live on the show. That said, hey, have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Have a great week without me. I hope it's a quiet, boring week with nothing to talk about, so I don't miss any of the details. That said, I'll see you on Tuesday. I think that's the 11th is when I'm back. Tuesday the 11th. So cheers. Have a fantastic weekend. Go do something fun, and I will see you guys in about 10 or 11 days. Take care, everybody.